In a move to eliminate multiple taxation, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform has proposed a stoppage of 190 taxes choking businesses in the country. The panel presented its quick win report, who was also initiated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who endorsed the far-reaching recommendation on tax and fiscal policy during a brief ceremony at the Presidential Villa in Abuja yesterday, Tuesday, the 24th day of October 2023. In response to the tax business and toxic business environment, the President inaugurated the fiscal policy and tax reform in August, which was tasked with improving the nation's revenue profile and business environment. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, while presenting his report to the President, said the panel suggested the merger of over 200 taxes being paid by Nigerian businesses into just 10. In his prayers to the President, Oyedele, among others, called for an emergency economic interaction bill and the issuance of the Presidential Executive Order to address the duplication of functions across the public service and to ensure prudent public financial management in a bid to optimize value for government assets and natural resources. Responding to the committee's presentation, Mr. President commended their work and assured them of his support for a review and implementation of their recommendation. The committee's work also once again brought to the fold the issue of multiple taxation in the country, that the economy is constantly shrinking, with the federal government, states and local government all collecting taxes on the same team. The only person feeling the heat are Nigerians and their businesses. But the big question and the big story for today is, will the federal government honor such recommendation of the committee, undermining Mr. President had promised to do so? And what about states and local government, whose double taxations are hurting small businesses and putting pressure on Nigerians? Well, these and more as it concerns multiple taxation is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. And we're talking about multiple taxation, addressing the impact on Nigerians and their businesses. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on The Big Story. We're going to talk about multiple taxation and looking at the impact it has on Nigerian businesses and on the long run Nigerians itself. And to truly help us is no other, but many will call him a comrade, but also he's a member of the Association Chartered Taxation of Nigeria. And I'm talking of Comrade FM&TV. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
You didn't put the comrade. What I'm putting on is more or less like a khaki, you know.
Well, anyways, I see you said comrade. But anyway, also you're a member of the Association of Chartered Taxation of Nigeria.
Yes.
So that's why we're bringing you to have this discussion with us. But let's quickly go to it. I had the opportunity of at least going through part of that report that was made public yesterday, and looking through that report early just this morning. It greatly elaborated what impact this multiple taxation has done to the businesses in the country, and the committee have proposed the stoppage of almost 190 taxes choking businesses in the country. But one statement that caught my attention yesterday, coming from the committee's chairman himself, he argued that multiple taxation have rather shrinked the federal government internally generated revenue rather opposed to even increasing it. That's what he said yesterday. Yes. And honestly, it caught my attention, and I was just like, wow, rather than help solve the problem, it seems to also have increase the problem. We never got more from double taxation, rather it shrinked our internally generated revenue. So I ask, now over the years we do know trillions have been collected, and it's now obvious that all Nigerians and even the government have not benefited from any of this multiple taxation. So why have that realization not come to government over the years, and what do you feel about cutting down all of these taxes just only 10?
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. We have collected so much money. Excuse me. We collected so much money due to double taxation, multiple taxation over the years. And when you tax somebody so much,
yes,
it tends to make some people go out of business. Because at every level you impose tax on the product, it goes a long way to increasing your cost. It goes a long way to increasing your price. And when your pricing gets to a level that people can no longer afford it, you have products in your warehouse that are no longer sellable. Then at the point in time, you go out of business. And by the time the tax start killing these businesses, the rate of which money goes to the government will now start coming down. So it is like you are doing too much, you are getting very little.
That's what they call penny wise pound food.
Yes, I know in the commerce section they call it overtrading. They see you doing too many things, but what is coming in is very little input. Yes, yeah. Many companies have closed up due to high taxes, and you don't expect anything from those people.
Okay, now in August when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inaugurated this committee. Myself and many were really wondering what these reforms he was talking about would naturally be. So that brings me back to my question. If now this report is indicting government agencies for double taxation, is indicting states and local government for also doing taxation on things that the federal government is already taxing, and little seems to be coming back to the coffers of either the state or the federal government, my question is, why was the government not able to understand this over the years?
No, that
why is the realization only coming now, and they're now seeing a need to reform our tax law?
No, but you should also know quite well that this administration just started. You cannot use what happened from the 60s to compare what is happening
now. But let's look. Why didn't the last administration do that?
It depends on
why the one previous before that. Why didn't everybody see a need for tax reforms?
It depends on the area of catchment of the previous administration. It depends on where they are casting their interest. So they may not even look at it to be anything, because what they have their own focus, which may not be this one. What I do in my own office for a period, when you come in, you have a you can have a change of mind and a change of procedure, and attack to work. That is what they are doing. That's why they say governance is a system. The other people, they never saw the need to do it, but this one said yes, like there is a need to do it.
But according to the report, it has in every way affected so many businesses.
Definitely,
that we had so many businesses closed down on account of these
multiple
taxes.
Yes, like that was the first thing we talked about when we started this program. If taxes are too high, it will increase your cost, your selling price. And your selling price can get to a point people can no longer afford it. We have so many products that have gone out of the market because of high prices. Now let us talk about, I don't want to mention names, but let's talk some of the products in the infotech now. Yeah. Like this telephones we use. There is a telephone that is a small iPad. The second-hand value is higher than the price of a new one because of that name. And they have to pay based on what they are charging. Many people no longer go for it because they look at it that the price is so high. And now at the end of the day, gradually that thing will face out of the market. These governments have seen the needs that it is better. Like, yes, I can mention names now. Like this man in Lagos, Eleganza. Eleganza said you make much more money in couple business than when you are looking for thousands and millions in a single product. Okay. If you are making 10 naira per product in a day, and you are making it from 100 million people, how much is that? Rather than you waiting for making 500,000 and only about 10 people are paying that money.
Oh, okay, now let's still return back to the committee's chairman, Oyedele. I know. I did small background check on him, and I now found out he was the former chairperson of African tax leader at Pricewaterhouse Coopers. Yes, because I needed to do my investigation to understand his background, and I discovered that. What he said yesterday also got me wondering. He wondered why should someone who is just there hustling and selling pure water would end up paying 7 taxes on pure water he sells. He said that yesterday, because when I followed through with what he said yesterday, I was just like picking those major points from what he highlighted. Look, he really wondered why someone that just selling pure water on the streets of Lagos, on the streets of Abuja, Kaduna, would be paying 7 taxes. So this is where my question lies. Basically, this happens everywhere, just like you said. Yeah. Even in our markets here in Ugeli, you see these women being attacked, being rough-handled, all in the name of collecting taxes. And most of these taxes do not even go to the government treasury. That we know. And yet these people are being pushed into taking this. And funny enough, if you reach most of these persons doing this, they'll tell you it's backed by law.
It's not backed
either from the state or the federal or the local government. So I'm asking now, is it more of a legal issue that this double taxation seems to be increasing by the day? States will collect, local government will collect, federal will collect, and all of them
there is one that you have not mentioned. The miscreants will collect.
Okay, but they will always end up telling you they are being saddled with the responsibility.
Well, let me tell you one thing, Mike. Those people that collect all this money from the market women, the pure water sellers, are not backed by law. Most of them will tell you this money goes to the palace. This one goes to the local government. And you dare not even go to the palace to find out. Who are you to enter the palace and want to find out and all these things? Don't you know that most markets in our environs here have been having problems, especially when they will not share their market onto the express. And you cannot pursue them. Then you will see somebody with a small bag going from one pure water to the other, collecting 100 naira, 200 naira, 100 naira, 200 naira. Those money goes nowhere. The major problem we have is nobody is able to stand up tomorrow and prosecute them. Okay. If you are able to do it, then there will be an apology from them. There was a time I parked in a worry just to drop someone, not that I parked to do anything, just for somebody to come down. They took over my vehicle and they locked it in the council. I had to call the party chairman, who now called the local government chairman. They collected 10,000 naira from me.
So that brings me back to what I initially said. Most of these actions being taken by, you call them miscreants, if you want to call them, are always being backed by either the council or even the state. So is it more of a problem of actually dealing with it legally rather than having to impose a measure to addressing this problem? Because all of them will say they are being backed by law.
The measure will be a bit difficult because they will always tell you somebody send them and somebody will always be there to defend them. If we have a strong legal system that deal with all these things, they will not be there. I don't think there is any reason or any reason for anybody who is selling pure water you can collect money from that person. What account are you going to put it? Is it going to be recorded anywhere? That money goes into the pocket of the people. And that is why you see when you say somebody is a revenue collector, they're always jubilating, going for Thanksgiving that they've made it. And when you even talk of those miscreants, it's even still better. What of the legalized people in uniform? They will say they are state paramilitary, they call them police. If you go to Togoduna, there are very many there. At times there can be up to 15. Okay. Just standing and watching any bike that will park. They go there, they seize the key. Any tricycle that park, they go there and seize the key. All these things are illegal. And they are pushing people out of business. If you hold any bike now, the minimum they pay is 5,000 naira. How much do they make in a day? Now, if this person refuses to work, have you not closed another channel of government making revenue? So the best thing is to let these people go. We have this in the cost self-assessment. If everybody has that self-assessment, like in those days when I was still small, when I was still following my father out, they call it on the road taxes. They will just stop people. Have you paid your taxes? No, you are supposed to pay this amount of, and you are given receipt. All these taxes they collect, is there any receipt anywhere that anybody is giving to anybody? The answer is no.
So that's why even the committee said government revenue seems to be shrinking rather than
yes, they collect
this money ends up
in the pockets of individuals. Okay. And some of these people that you look at them to be a no-do-well people. But deep down, they are big boys because of what they collect on daily basis. Okay, let's even bring in this Agbero. It's another form of taxes on the people. Transportation is increasing today because the Agbero, they are increasing, that is the National Road Transport Union.
Well, anyway, you can just leave the union out of it. But just go
yes.
ahead. Yeah.
For every vehicle that loads, they collect at times 2 seats, money for 2 seats. The driver will buy fuel. The driver will maintain the vehicle. So tell me, why would they not increase their own cost of moving?
And yet, each of the local councils says they really generate funds, internally generated revenue.
Does the money get to the local government? Does the money get to any government parastatal? The thing remains in their pocket. That's why they live large. Okay, now
let's continue our discussion, because yesterday I also monitored the reaction of different organizations in its reaction to the committee report that was released yesterday. And one I find quite interesting is the reaction from the organized private sector, which did not only back the proposal of the committee, but also largely blamed states for multiple taxation in the country. And I want you to walk us through your thoughts on that very reaction of the organized private sector. With most states not looking at internally generated revenue, but rather looking at what comes from the federal, and yet a lot of these taxes are collected on account of the states. So would we not say the state seems to be biggest culprit in this? They keep saying they hardly have any internally generated revenue, but organized private sector as an organization has come out to say, yes, the federal government really has some measures of double taxation, but the biggest problem and challenges they are facing on account of taxation is all coming from the states. And yet these are the states that will come up out on air to say, well, we don't have internally generated revenue. As of last year, states like Kebbi was only producing or generating 4.12 million naira in a month. And yet most of these states, in a month, that's their internally generated revenue. Go to the books, it's there.
Which is terribly low.
Which is terribly low. So, look, the states, the culprit seems to be on the states, but the states yet keep complaining and taking their post to the federal.
Look, taxes are divided into three. All taxes, yes, taxes are divided into three. There are specific ones that go to the federal government that is being monitored by the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Yes.
There are the ones that go to the state government that is being monitored by the State Board of Internal Revenue.
Okay.
Then the ones by the local government. If you look at company income tax, that is a federal government issue, non-negotiable. There is an exclusive list, and that's everything listed on that exclusive list belongs to the federal government solely, like the power to mine.
Okay.
The taxes from there go there.
Okay.
Then, like as I've mentioned, the company income tax, all these exports, imports, and all those things.
Duties and all of that.
Yes, duties, VAT, and co. They are federal government issues.
So where does the state? What does the state generate?
The state.
How did they come in that all the blame seems to be hinged on the table of the state?
Because the state, they are supposed to be in charge of the like payee. You pay as you earn.
Yes.
That is their area. This road transport union, which actually they are not monitoring, they are supposed to be part of something, is their own money. Small things like that. Then when you talk of signages, streets, parties, and all those things, those are local government collecting money from shop, rent and rates.
What of these that seems to collect money from these women that hawk around and also
they are hiding under the local government law, but actually the man sitting in the office who is saying that they are collecting money from the market women, do they have a record for those people that are collecting money from? Because I've never seen anywhere they collected money from any of these hawkers and they are given receipt. So that one automatically is gone. But to them, they are paying their taxes normally. But the money does not get to any single government account. The only thing they can do is to go back and settle these people in the office. So take this one, I have collected this.
So, but don't you feel it's more like states are sourcing this out to different individuals on account of collecting the
best thing they should have done, which they did some time ago, I think in the past 2 administrations, they contracted it out. This is what we want. And this is how much must come in every month. Whatever you make is not the issue. And they made money. They made money. That was why they built all these state revenue houses in Delta. If you go, we have one in Ozora, we have in Ole, we have in even in Ugele.
Yes, we do.
We have in Warri,
yes.
Very large one in Warri. That's what they did because they knew quite well then that if they have the officials to be collecting it, this thing will not come. So it is not left for the contractor. Give us our money, take your own. If you cannot perform, then we'll show you the exit door. But the major problem remains the act of monitoring these people. That is the major problem. How do we make sure these things come into the cover? But now, if they now say, okay, instead of us not to benefit it and we are making it, nobody should go there again. If they now if they remove all these taxes by 190 that you just mentioned,
yes, 100.
Then you and I know quite well that if we are trading tomorrow, we are not paying this thing to anybody. Therefore, the government will be losing on one side. Then
we'll come to the reaction, especially as it concerns the government, and then what states and local government might stand to lose on account if this very recommendation is being implemented. But I'll plead with you, let's go on a break now. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion centered on multiple taxation and addressing the impact, especially with that committee report stating that it looks as if the government seems to even suffer on account of multiple taxation rather than even the citizens, and a need for them to streamline it and also reduce it to just 10. Let's go on a break. I'll come back and have more talk.